For any producer chasing real profitability out in the pasture, crossing the imposing bareneck Sasso genetics with the legendary Rhode Island Red is an absolute game-changer for the flock. Today we're breaking down the details of this extraordinary pairing to understand how fusing these bloodlines creates an F1 bird that outperforms the rest. By combining these genetics, we aim to boost fundamental traits like extreme weather hardiness, push egg production peaks higher, and optimize feed conversion rates. We're talking about raising a powerhouse flock that handles the heavy lifting of free-range foraging without sacrificing meat gains or laying performance. This ensures every single ounce of feed you pour into the troughs translates into tangible profit, strengthening the daily bottom line of your homestead. When you build a flock with this level of resilience, you don't worry about shifting weather patterns or expensive feed bills eating up your hard-earned cash. Let's begin. Before mixing bloodlines, we need to thoroughly understand the original pieces of this puzzle, starting with the undisputed champion of traditional farmyards, the robust Rhode Island Red. Originating in the United States back in the late 19th century, this bird was forged by early breeders to create an ultra-reliable egg layer that withstands harsh climates. A well-managed hen from this line gives you between 240 and 260 eggs a year without breaking a sweat. She hits sexual maturity perfectly around 22 to 24 weeks of age. This steady timeline lets the breeder plan collection cycles with great predictability, keeping the cash flow moving without enduring endless months of burning through expensive resources during the early rearing stage. You get a dependable worker that pays for her own keep in record time. The Rhode Island Red doesn't just shine because of her high egg count, she also brings an excellent feed efficiency that protects the breeder's wallet through every single growth phase. Her conversion rate is outstanding for a bird with such a solid frame, making the most out of every commercial ration or fresh forage to maintain her body condition and keep egg production rolling. On top of that, the Rhode Island Red boasts a legendary hardiness out in the open field, adapting easily to wild temperature swings while showing a natural resistance to pathogens that would break more fragile lines. She's a tireless forager that never quits, thriving in confinement or free-ranging across the pasture, hunting bugs and seeds to complement her daily diet, slashing the grain bill and maximizing your homestead profits. On the other hand, we have the bareneck Sasso variety, an absolute marvel of poultry selection designed strictly for maximum meat yield. This pasture giant is built to convert grain into dense muscle with incredible efficiency, hitting an early commercial butcher age right around 60 to 80 days of intensive growth. Her sexual maturity arrives a bit later, between 24 and 26 weeks of age. Despite the weight, she delivers a solid 200 to 230 eggs per year on a consistent basis. She also stands out for having zero natural incubation instinct, which removes unproductive broody pauses during the season. You get a heavy-duty maternal line that pushes out eggs with pure consistency, giving you a dual-purpose foundation that excels in both size and steady production numbers without stalling. The overall hardiness of these Sasso birds is nothing short of massive. The bareneck gene acts as a built-in radiator, giving them exceptional heat dissipation that lets the flock maintain a high feeding pace in sweltering climates without succumbing to heat stress. When summer temperatures spike, fully feathered heavy breeds often stop eating and drop weight, but the Sasso keeps foraging and growing. This physical trait turns them into robust survivors, equipped to handle unforgiving environments where weaker genetics simply fold. You don't have to coddle them or rig up complex cooling systems in the coop. They are walking fortresses that thrive under the harsh sun, converting pasture inputs into heavy meat cuts while shrugging off the severe environmental pressure that typically ruins a homesteader's profit margin during the hottest months. When comparing these two outstanding genetics side by side, the logical question for any smart breeder is why invest valuable time and resources into crossing these lines instead of managing them as purebreds on their own? The answer lies in the unstoppable biological phenomenon known as hybrid vigor, where the F1 offspring heavily outproduce their parents in field vitality and overall yield. The advantages are straightforward, producing a bird that inherits the tireless engine of the Rhode Island Red, alongside the imposing structure and rapid muscular development of the Sasso maternal base. This pairing hands you a genuine dual-purpose flock. The males hit heavy commercial butcher weights in record time, while the females transform into extremely prolific layers capable of maintaining an enviable pace under free-range conditions without showing any physical wear against the climate. However, in the hard daily grind of farm work, nothing is entirely perfect, and this cross also presents certain disadvantages that every strategic breeder must consider before diving in. The first drawback is the loss of visual uniformity, since the F1 birds can show large variations in plumage color and bareneck width, complicating aesthetic standardization if your local market is too demanding. Furthermore, because you're dealing with a vigorous hybrid displaying intense growth and laying rates, The flock's nutritional requirement spikes compared to standard breeds, demanding diets with much higher protein density. Finally, it's crucial to remember that these F1 crossbred birds must never be used as breeders for a second generation. Doing so ruins the hybrid vigor, resulting in unstable F2 offspring that fail to meet any serious homestead profitability standards. To pull off this cross with success, the mating dynamics in the breeding pens must be organized with extreme care, starting with the dangerous scenario of using a Sasso rooster over a Rhode Island Red hen. Here we find a severe anatomical challenge that every experienced breeder needs to prevent beforehand, because physically, Sasso males are much fatter, wider, and heavier than Rhode Island hens. Placing a flock sire of such massive dimensions over much lighter hens causes severe physical injuries to the hens' backs during routine mating, compromising their productive welfare and ruining the viability of the whole setup. If a producer forces this specific route anyway, they absolutely must select young, lightweight Sasso roosters before they reach their full mature size, minimizing physical damage inside the breeding pen. Conversely, running the exact reverse scenario changes the rules of the game entirely and guarantees a much safer reproductive environment by utilizing the Rhode Island Red rooster over the Sasso hens. The resulting chicks inherit an outstanding conformation, showing broad females that handle the constant passing of eggs without breaking a sweat, always backed by the tremendous ruggedness of the Sasso hens. The males acquire a growth velocity far superior to a purebred Rhode Island, leveraging the entire maternal meat genetics to develop wide breasts in record fattening times. Out in the pen, the mating works to perfection. The Rhode Island Red rooster is highly agile and treads the Sasso hens without any issues. Thanks to their wider and much more robust constitution, these heavy hens support his weight with zero effort without suffering field injuries. When comparing both mating systems head-to-head, the most profitable and secure option leans strongly toward using the Rhode Island Red rooster over your robust Sasso hens. This proven strategy prevents tragic losses from heavy crushing, guarantees high fertility rates by employing a lightweight rooster with great physical agility, and generates a highly resilient offspring for your homestead. The resulting females turn into tireless layers, fusing the amazing heat resistance of the bare neck with the legendary laying persistence of the Rhode Island heritage, forming unbreakable pillars for any pastured poultry operation. Next, we'll dive deep into the specific characteristics of this F1 offspring, evaluating their true maturity, temperament, daily production, and how both parent lines combine to forge this highly productive farmyard bird. Looking at the physical outcome of crossing our tireless Rhode Island Red flock sire over those heavy-duty Sasso hens, we see the true potential of this union unfold on the pasture. The F1 hybrid birds hatching from these eggs reveal an imposing visual presence from their early weeks inside the brooder. Physically, these chicks display undeniable vigor, feathering out fast while showing a robust liveliness that ensures a phenomenal start in your grow-out pens. As they gain weight, the bare neck gene manifests itself, handing them an unmistakable appearance that acts as a highly efficient radiator to dump body heat. These birds boast a formidable bone structure, inheriting the wider and sturdier build of their maternal line, preparing them for a demanding productive life hunting bugs on open grass. One of the most intriguing aspects of this crossbred powerhouse is how the biological clock balances out to reach sexual maturity. While the Sasso maternal base takes more time to fire up production, the strong paternal genetic influence accelerates development in the pullets. Under well-supplemented free-range conditions, you'll see these F1 females break into lay with solid uniformity right around 22 to 23 weeks of age. This synchronized start to production makes managing the nest boxes and planning weekly egg sales an absolute breeze, keeping your agricultural setup firmly in the green without enduring endless feeding cycles. We achieve a productive kickoff that shortens the expensive rearing period and lets the flock start paying for its feed much sooner. When these heavy pullets kickstart their laying cycle, the impact of the Rhode Island genetics becomes undeniably evident inside the nest boxes. Even though they don't hit the extreme peaks of a lightweight commercial layer, these dual-purpose hens manage to stabilize at a truly admirable and consistent annual production rate. A well-managed flock, provided with access to fresh forage and a balanced ration, easily hands you between 200 and 230 eggs per bird each year. That is an exceptional laying pace for an animal carrying such massive body volume, maintaining a steady output that doesn't crash when faced with severe temperature swings. This relentless persistence guarantees a steady stream of premium farm products for the homesteader supplying demanding local markets week after week. To guarantee this excellent production rate avoids crippling interruptions, nature hands us a phenomenal operational advantage with these specific birds. The incubation instinct, commonly known as broodiness, is practically non-existent in the females coming from this carefully structured breeding pen. Because neither the Sasso Hen nor the Rhode Island Red carries any maternal drive to sit on a clutch, we completely eliminate the risk of dealing with broody hens in this F1 cross. For the breeder, this means you never lose valuable time isolating stubborn hens in broody jails just to reset their hormonal cycle. It's an uninterrupted biological engine that massively simplifies your daily management routines and egg collection chores. Shifting our focus over to the meat yield, the hybrid males quickly demonstrate exactly why this cross stands as a true dual-purpose marvel on the homestead. Thanks to their maternal genetics, which are naturally much heavier, these young roosters pack on prominent muscle mass in surprisingly short time frames for a pastured bird. Their commercial butcher age hits a sweet spot, reaching well-finished carcasses of 6 to 7 pounds right around 90 to 100 days of life. You pull broad breasts and thick thighs out of the pluckers, offering a premium final product that commands high prices in local markets due to its firmness and extraordinary rustic flavor. This fast growth velocity secures a quick financial return that puts solid cash straight back into the hard-working farmer's pocket. Managing a large flock on a daily basis demands birds that make your chores easier rather than sparking chaos, and the temperament of these F1 crosses proves absolutely outstanding. They are highly docile birds that still maintain a sharp natural radar, keeping them active and constantly hunting for sustenance during long hours of free-range foraging. Unlike nervous commercial lines prone to collective hysteria over the smallest shadow, this hybrid inherits the grounded calmness of both parents. They move with utter confidence across the pastures without panicking at the routine noises of a working farm. This generalized tranquility deeply reduces stress across the group, minimizing severe behavioral disasters like feather pecking. Ultimately, that calm nature translates directly into fully intact plumage and superior health for your pastured poultry operation. Facing the brutal elements demands exceptional resilience, and the rugged hardiness of this first generation acts as their most imposing calling card. They possess a formidable immune system that lets them brush off environmental pathogens that would quickly cripple delicate breeds requiring constant pampering. The combination of the bare neck phenotype and the sheer bulk of their bone structure hands them an incredible tolerance to extreme weather, easily surviving heat waves pushing past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Their digestive tract operates like a heavy-duty engine, capable of breaking down tough insects, hard seeds, and fibrous grasses out in the dirt without suffering endless intestinal disorders. They are absolute survivors engineered to thrive where the terrain gets rough, demanding very little intervention from the farmer to stay strong year-round. Speaking of their digestive engine, the feed conversion in these hybrids strikes a highly profitable balance between maintaining their large bodies and fueling daily production. Even though their massive physical frame demands a higher ration intake compared to a lightweight barn layer, their relentless foraging capacity drastically lowers the impact on the breeder's budget. These birds roam the pasture without ever hitting the brakes, actively hunting to supplement their commercial feed with live protein and soil minerals. They extract maximum value from every single ounce of nutrients they swallow, turning it efficiently into large eggs or dense muscle. This mixed efficiency lets the homesteader formulate cheaper, more fibrous feed blends, knowing the bird carries the genetic firepower to extract peak energy without compromising its steady laying rhythm. When we carefully break down the parental contributions, the heritage of the Sasso line acts as the solid foundation of this heavy-duty cross. Plus, it passes down the invaluable bare neck trait, a crucial adaptation that gives them supreme heat regulation in sweltering climates, ensuring the flock keeps eating even under the blazing sun. By avoiding the frail white earlobes of lightweight breeds and maintaining rugged phenotypes, this maternal influence guarantees the chicks endure open-sky rearing conditions with unbeatable vitality. It provides the necessary volume and structural width for a blazing fast grow-out phase. On the flip side, the intervention of the Rhode Island Red flock sire acts as the perfect spark that transforms a heavy meat bird into a genuinely continuous producer. His blood brings the vital persistence needed to sustain extended laying cycles, ensuring that unproductive pauses remain practically invisible throughout the entire year. On top of that, these genetics bring surprising agility and a razor-sharp survival instinct against potential predators, turning the offspring into phenomenal foragers across expansive pastures. The influence of this sire successfully balances out the maternal bulk, fine-tuning the overall metabolism so that feed conversion isn't wasted solely on building abdominal fat. Instead, that energy gets channeled directly into the daily formation of premium-grade eggs that stay large, uniform, and highly attractive to your paying customers week after week. The cross between an agile Rhode Island Red sire and robust Sasso hens stands as an absolute game-changer for securing constant profitability on challenging terrain. The massive advantage of this setup lies in pulling heavy carcasses quickly while raising extremely productive hens, maximizing every pound of forage scavenged under the sun. The main drawback sits in their high initial protein demand and the visual variation of the flock, combined with the strict technical limitation of never breeding a second generation to avoid losing that precious hybrid Vigor. It's a heavy-duty operational balance that immensely rewards the diligent producer who plans ahead. Let me know down in the comments which of these genetics makes the most sense for your setup. If you got some value out of this breakdown, hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up so we can keep bringing you practical homesteading advice. To your success, fellow breeder. Until next time.